Hey, folks, Heather and I are back with another edition of Cape today as we recap all the interviews we've done this week for 1623 Studios. It was another fun week. Heather, you did a great job.
Oh, you did too, Kory. You did a great job.
You did most of the heavy lifting this week, and that began with a great story that Sean Horgan of the Gloucester Times was doing about the 1918 pandemic.
Yes, we had been sort of skimming the surface of this with Sean for a couple of weeks, but he has written a beautiful three-part series on the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, and it's a great conversation, but it's also a great series. So you should really go to the Gloucester Times and read it. I want to say the bottom line for this for Sean was it's really hard to do research in a pandemic. And we all know what that means. All the doors are closed, all the libraries are closed, the archives are closed. How do you do research?
Right.
So he did a great job.
Yeah, he did a great job. And like you're saying, everything from City Hall to Cape Bay Museum to Sandy Bay Historical Society, everybody's been closed down. Manchester Historical Museum. So, yeah, hats off to the reporters for digging deep, and he did a great job with that story. So yeah, look for that if you can. We also spoke with Taylor Bradford of the Gloucester Times about Memorial Day observances.
Yes, yes. So she sort of credited 1623 because we did this lovely series or video on that. You can find that on our site. And she remarked that there were 7,000 flags planted on Cape Ann this past weekend. She also went into the very exciting moment that hair salons are opening. So she visited a hair salon, and we had a really touching conversation about what she witnessed in her visit to this hair salon was how important the relationship is between the owner of the salon and her clients, that people really feel a strong bond. And the woman in the chair and the woman cutting her hair, they were so happy to see each other beyond having the haircut and the color. It was just, she just really, Taylor did a great job emphasizing how these relationships are really important and people are happy to have them again.
And it seems like the most engaging post about businesses the last few weeks, maybe even the last couple of months, has been restaurants and takeout, and when will the salons open up again around here? It's the one industry that just thrives and thrives and thrives, or dozens and dozens of these places. So vitally important to the community. So that was a great conversation. Our most chaotic interview this week took place with the ladies who are part of Baskets for Kids and Teens in Gloucester and Rockport. This is Amanda, Robin, Susan, and Melanie. You can chip in and help out. You can find them on Facebook right now. The interview started with a chipmunk running into one of their cars and ended with learning about this cool thing they're doing for kids, I think aged 8 to 20 or something, in Gloucester and Rockport.
Toddlers to 20.
Toddlers to 20, right. And basically, yeah, they're collecting donations and they're shopping for toys and books and et cetera, fun stuff, and anonymously dropping them on doorsteps around the community. So really cool stuff there too. It was a fun chat.
Right. The premise is simply they are all moms themselves. One of them, I think, is a teacher, and they recognize that kids are just having such a hard time right now. And that's been a theme throughout many of our conversations.
One of the more interesting characters that we've gotten to know since the pandemic began was Rockport School Superintendent Rob Libo. And you got to chat with him again this week to see what the latest is on graduation.
Yes, we talked about graduation in Rockport. That will be a drive-by event on June 5th. And there is tentatively a live date set for August 5th. I'm sorry. But really, people should listen to this conversation. What we really went into, what Rob Libo went into was how, first of all, the state schools are in right now, and they are very stressed. The staff is stressed. The kids are less stressed, I think, but the staff is very stressed. And when they try to envision opening up next fall, it is just unbelievable how costly it will be and how difficult. And that's what that conversation really ended up being about, was Rob Libo went into some of the details about social distancing. How do you do this? How do you have school buses with kids needing to social distance? So one bus route actually involves 3 buses and the cost of that. And that's just the beginning. So anyway, it's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, you had another great chat with pediatrician Dr. Brian Orr as well.
Yes, I really wanted to talk to him because about COVID and kids. That is something everybody worries about, even if you're not a parent. But there's been this new issue among children, not really around here, but certainly in New York City, I think 200 cases of this thing called multi-system inflammatory syndrome. And some kids are getting this in response to COVID. And it's a very serious issue. He has not seen it at all up here, but it's been in the news. So I wanted to talk to him about that. One interesting thing he said is that he sees kids right now actually less stressed because they don't have school and they don't have all this pressure, or they have school and it's kind of Zoom. So he's worried about kids in the fall, but he thinks kids are actually doing okay right now.
Interesting stuff. Also, we've had amazing conversations with the folks at Senior Care throughout all of this. And we got to speak with Deborah Schwendeman and Susan Dowdy about how the pandemic has affected the caregivers.
Right. Right. I mean, and one can imagine, the adult daycare centers are closed, all those sort of, opportunities for the people they're caring for to leave the home and give the caregivers a break. That's ended. And there's just so much stress. And some of them are having employment issues. And this was a really extensive conversation, or I should say we had a conversation about the Senior Care's Caregiver Support Program, which has extensive services from mental health to nutrition to, helping with the person in their home that they're caring for.
Right, because they said the grieving process is a big part of this as well. And it's fascinating to learn about how many services are provided through Senior Care in particular. Like, it's been probably the biggest eye-opener of all of the entities that we've been working with and learning about over the last few months, is how much Senior Care actually provides. And they just say you can literally, they're a phone call away to find out anything about volunteer opportunities or outreach, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. If you're in this situation, and we also learned that caregivers include grandparents caring for grandchildren. Mm-hmm. So, that's a whole other realm that needs very specific support. So they are there for that also. If you call the number, the services are all free, and they will connect you with what you need.
Mm-hmm. And then we also spoke with Erica Brown, as usual. She is the publisher and editor of the Manchester Cricket. We always have a lot of laughs with her, and she brought up some great stories this week, including how well Manchester by the Sea pulled off their Memorial Day observances.
Right. They actually had a live Memorial Day service, and no one else around here did. No other town was able to do that, but everyone was very clearly socially distanced. It was a small service. It was nowhere near what they usually do every year. It's usually a very important date for the town of Manchester, but they were able to pull it off, including boats came up to the ceremony and were able to witness the ceremony from the shore. So that was nice.
Very cool. And other news from Manchester's harbor is there's a big hullabaloo about what's happening with Tuck's Point now. You just want to check out this week's edition for sure to get all the details on that. But it does involve the Army Corps of Engineers. What else do we have? The DEPA.
And First Nations.
First Nations. It's unbelievable what's happening there too. So yeah, if you live in that area, or if you have a boat or a dinghy in that area, you might want to check out what's happening at Tuck's Point. And then we ended with a great chat about what Manchester by the Sea plans on doing for the 4th of July. Now, I think they're actually tentatively rescheduling a 4th of July celebration for September 4th, but there has been talk of actually having a parade in which the parade floats are neighborhood houses, which families are encouraged to decorate, and then judges will go by and they'll map out a parade route, almost like you're going out looking for Christmas lights.
Right, exactly. And in this case, it's sort of the inverse of a parade. The participants in the parade are actually still, and the judges are driving by.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Right. And then, of course, we ended the week speaking with State Senator Bruce Tarr, who had an amazing message. So you want to look back and check out all of the senator's words. He's been a good friend of ours throughout this entire process. And Heather, like I said, great job again this week. Let's do it all again after the weekend. And as usual, we want to thank our partners at the Gloucester Daily Times and our sponsors at Jamari Series LLC. So for all of us here at 1623 Studios, adios for now, and we will see you on Monday.